Okay, so units and dimensions. The first thing we need to talk about is if a quantity is measured or counted for, what are the two things that we need in order to consider it as a quantity, right? So a measured quantity has two things, right? And that is, one, a numerical value, and two, a unit, right? So when we're talking about numerical values, we're talking about, like, for example, 2.47 or 47 or 38, right? That is all numerical values because that only has numbers with them, right? But if we're talking about units, this is going to be like 2 meters or 3 seconds or 1/3 kilogram, right? These meters, seconds, or kilogram, they are all something we call units. Within those units, we have dimensions, right? And so what is a dimension? A dimension is a property that can be measured. So this is like length, like 12 inches in a foot. That is length. Or time, right? That is seconds, years, days. Or mass, that's kilograms, pounds, pounds per mass. Or temperature, we represent that with a capital T. Those are 4 basic properties that we have dimensions for, right? If you go back to physics, we have velocity is a big one, and that's length over time. Or volume, that's length cubed. Or density, density is a big one, right? That's rho, it's mass over volume, right? All units that are measurable have specific values of dimension that we've specified as laws or conventions or customs, right? And some of these measurable units specifically SI units, we named as mass. So we have mass equal to grams, which we represent as a G. Or for time, we have seconds, as represented as an S, right? And then last one, popular one, is length, right? And that is going to be centimeters or feet. These are all defined by adding the laws, or we customly made these our specific units, right? Because units are typically numbers or values, we can treat them as if they're mathematics. We can add and subtract them. But the only rule for these is that the units have to be the same. So what do I mean by that? One example could be 3 centimeters minus 1 centimeter, right? So 3 minus 1 is 2 centimeters, and centimeters here, so that means centimeters is going to be here, right? But what if we had 3 centimeters minus 1 millimeter, right? we have centimeters here, but millimeters here. These are measured completely different, and they are not the same. So we cannot do the adding or subtracting of that. But same with numbers, we can multiply and divide, right? Units. And how we do that is we just combine them, right? So for example, we have 3 newtons times 4 meters, right? 3 times 4 is 12, and we have newtons per newton, so it's going to be newtons times meters, right? Or we have 7 kilometers per hour times 4 hours, right? In the following chapters, we'll learn how conversions, which are ratios of units, how they can be converted. In this case, the hours would cancel out because it's 4 hours over 1. And so we do 7 times 4, and that's 28. And then we are only left with kilometers. Another one would be 3 meters times 4 meters, right? 3 times 4 is 12. We have a meter here and a meter here. We combine them, so we get meters squared. Now, if we wanted to divide, we just do 6 grams over 2 grams, right? If we have a gram here and a gram here, these cancel out, so it makes it unitless. So it's just 3. Or if we have 5 kilometers over 2.0 hours, so we do 5 divided by 2, 2.5, and then we just combine them because they are not the same unit, right? So those are examples of how we can combine and add and subtract units. So let's go back to converting units. So any measured quantity can be expressed in terms of any unit having appropriate dimensions. Right? So the first thing that we'll talk about is conversion factors, right? What is a conversion factor? Well, it's a ratio that is the equivalent of the same quantity. So what does that mean? Well, for example, we have 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters, right? That's a ratio because there is 1 centimeter in 10 millimeters, right? We can also write this as 10 millimeters over 1 centimeter. Or a popular one is there's 12 inches in a foot, 1 foot, right? That's a ratio as well. We can also write that as 1 foot over 12 inches, right? So we can convert to different quantities using the conversion factor. And how we do that is, let's say we are given 36 milligrams and we want to convert to grams, right? So we would do 36 milligrams and then we would find the conversion when we know that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. And so we would just do 36 divided by 1,000, and this would be 0.036 grams, right? So that is pretty much what conversion factors and dimensions and unit measured quantities are. The next we'll talk about different systems of units.